Hey y'all, let's start a vlog for the week of weird. It's starting today. It's September 7th. It's a Sunday. I've just done my grocery shopping. I've got some laundry going. It's a chill day. It's kind of cloudy outside. I feel like yesterday was, I'm crossing fingers, was our last really hot day of the summer. Did I just jinx myself? Probably. It's gonna be like 90 degrees next week, probably. Like but it is cool-ish today. Like I said, kind of cloudy, like it's like it might rain. I mean, yes, perfection. So, week of weird, yeah. I did make a little TBR of like some possibilities for my September reading, including week of weird. So I'm just gonna kind of play that by ear, see where we go. But I did cheat a little bit, and I started a book yesterday, You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White. I have this arc, I really need to get it finished, so I wanted to start it yesterday. I read a big chunk of it yesterday, probably like 80% of it yesterday. Flying through it, love it. It is amazing. So I'll come back when I'm done and tell you a little bit about it, but whoa, it's really good. So after that, I'm just gonna see where the week, where the week takes me, how weird I actually get, All right, I'll check in. Bye. Let's check in. Put my hair down. Let's check in. I finished You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White. I had the advanced reader copy from NetGalley. Thank you to NetGalley, because I was just emotionally devastated. I loved it. I absolutely love this book. And I'm going to do a little book chat about it, make a little video. I've actually filmed that already. It's going to go up before this vlog does. So if you missed it, I'll link it below. Go watch that and hear my thoughts about it, because I loved it. I used this for the prompt to read for my trans author. Andrew Joseph White is a trans author. This does feature a trans character as well. And absolutely brutal and heartbreaking and devastating, but I loved every minute of it. This is Andrew Joseph White's debut adult novel, and it's a good one. So yeah, I highly recommend it, basically, is all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna try to lighten the mood with some fun. I'm gonna read Dandadan, Volume 1. This is by Yukinobu Tatsu. This will work for the prompt to read from, it's of course translated work. This is, let's see, we got, let me find the page here. Translation by Kumar Sivasubramanian. And then there's an English adaptation by Jennifer LeBlanc. So yeah, this is a manga that our very own Kat from Cat's Hollow Adventures gave to me. And so I was saving it for the next week of weird. And here it is. So I'm going to read it. She says that it was a lot of fun. And it sounds like a lot of fun. So just Momo Ayase strikes up an unusual friendship with her school's UFO fanatic, whom she nicknames Okarun because he has a name that is not to be said aloud. While Momo believes in spirits, she thinks aliens are nothing but nonsense. Her new friend, meanwhile, thinks the exact opposite. So to settle matters, they two go out to prove each other wrong. So Momo is going to a UFO hotspot, and Okarun is going to a haunted tunnel. What unfolds next is a beautiful story of young love and oddly horny aliens and spirits? ? It does say explicit on it, so I think we're gonna get some little naughty bits in here. But I'm so excited to read it because it just sounds like a lot of fun, and I think hopefully it's gonna be just a lot of kind of weirdness to it as well. So I'm looking forward to getting into this a little bit before I get dinner going for the night. Things like that. So I'm going to read a little bit of this. Yeah. All right. Bye. Hello, it's Monday. I'm checking in. Just got home from work. Last night I did read. Let me hold it up right. Let's hold up. Dandadan. This is by Yukinobu Tatsu. I think I said I was going to start this. Yeah. And it's quick, so I finished it. And this is volume 1. This was a lot of fun. It is it's kind of wild, and it definitely has me curious about the rest of the series. I don't know how many are out in this, but yeah, it's super fun. So the gist is we are following this young girl here who has met this other young fella, and they kind of, through circumstances at school, have just made a little connection, not like love or anything, but like just a little, something happens with like a bully. It's fine. So anyway, and they just talk a little bit, and they kind of make this kind of bet between them essentially, because she is really into the paranormal and like believes in ghosts, and the little dude is like, no, ghosts are dumb, but I believe in aliens. And so they like swap places and be like, well, I'm going to prove to you that aliens exist. And then, the other one's like, I'm going to prove to you that ghosts exist. And so they go exploring at one night, and the little dude is like up at this tunnel. And so he's going in, and he runs up on this spirit named Turbo Granny, who is like, yeah, and maybe like gets a little possessed by Turbo Granny. It just sort of starts our little story, and it's really fun. It was really fun, and it definitely has a little weirdness to it. Of course, this works for Shorty September prompt. That's because, of course, Shorty September is going on all month. I'm a co-host for that, so the prompt is to we have a prompt to read a graphic novel, or a manga, some sort of situation like that. So I'm definitely using that for that prompt. But yeah, this was fun. It was just a fun, and honestly, a good palate cleanser after reading the heaviness that was You Weren't Meant to Be Human. So but now I need to figure out what I want to read next. I'm really not sure, to be honest. So I don't know. I'm gonna look through my stuff and see what I can get into. So I'll check in when I figure all that out. Okay, I've had a little shuffle through my shelves, or through my little pile over here. I think I'm gonna read this. The Profane Alters, the short story collection. This is weird Sword and Sorcery. It's an anthology edited by Sam Richards. This is from Weird Pump Books. And I'd like to make a dent on my Weird Pump Books. Weird Pump Books. Been bad about getting to those. But there's like 7 stories in this. So if I read one a day, I can just finish the book. Now, of course, I'm already a day behind. So if I read 2 stories at some point, then I will have read the whole book by the end of the week. It sounds great. Whatever. It's fine. I think it's going to be good. Let's see. So, underground horror authors it lists the authors that are in here. Conjure forth visions of the unknowable and ancient past. One of the spider gods. Aging warriors. Crystal antlers. Cultist soldiers. And whispered legends of strange creatures and woeful knights. With a K. A bridge between weird horror and sword and sorcery, Profane Alters presents new realms fantasy with cloistered worlds of doom and wonder. I mean, sounds pretty great. And then I'm going to read this. I've been wanting to read this book, and now's the time. It is called The Album of Dr. Moreau. This is by Daryl Gregory. I've been wanting to read this since I freaking bought it. And we're following this boy band, but they're made of, they're like these like hybrid animals. So they have like animal heads. And genetically engineered human animal hybrid vocal group called the Wild Boys with a Z. And let's see, the producer is found murdered in the hotel room. And so the boys are the prime suspect. And then there's like a detective who only has 24 hours to solve a case that goes all the way back to the secret science barge where they, where their journey first began, a place that used to call home. So I think it's going to be just kind of zany, silly, maybe a little bit of heart to it. I don't know. I got to read it. I want to read it, and I think this sounds perfect. So yay. Hey guys, it's Wednesday of the week of weird, so we're about halfway through now. I've not really checked in a lot of reading lately, so let me do a little quick catch up. I just got home from work. My hair feels like it's a mess. Anyway, okay, last night I started the album of Dr. Moreau by Daryl Gregory. I finished it last night. I didn't start it last night. I started the day before. I finished it last night. It is just under 200 pages, I think. 166 pages. So it definitely works for Shorty September as well. And I loved this. I had such a good time with this book. And I can't wait to finally, well, first of all, I'm glad to have finally read more Daryl Gregory, because the only book I've ever read by him so far was like a few years ago now. I read Revelator, which I loved. It's a great folk horror type story. Oh my God, it's so good. But this is something totally different. This is a kind of locked room mystery sort of feel with some, of course, some sci-fi elements and a little just kind of madcap zaniness, just because of what's going on in here. What the story is about is, it takes place in 2001, which I feel like is kind of relevant, but this is a group called the Wild Boys. They are pop stars and wildly popular. They're just finishing up like a big tour, and it's their sort of last night and things like that. But the thing about the Wild Boys is they are these sort of genetically modified people. So that's Bobby O. I can't say this backwards. Oh, this is the bat guy, Matt the Bat. This guy is the armadillo. He's not an armadillo, pangolin. His name was Tim, and this guy's name was Devin. He's the chimpanzee, and then the elephant guy is, what was the elephant guy's name? Oh, now I forget. Anyway, so, but like I said, they were sort of washed ashore, not really washed ashore, but like shipwrecked. There was something that they were on had blown up, and they escaped and were sort of rescued and brought discovered and became pop stars. I mean, because of course that happens, but anyway, but yeah, so of course, I mean, there is, this sort of thing of like this Dr. Moreau type tale, someone who was messing with genetics and creating, these human animal hybrids, that sort of thing. So there's definitely sort of an homage to that story, if you're familiar with it at all. But like I said, it's the last night of their tour, and their manager was found murdered the next night after, people were partying. They were like all sort of like fans were there, and all in the hotel room, the hotel room was trash, it's typical party rock and roll kind of thing. But he's dead. And so the story is, we also follow this detective who is, on the case. She and her partner are on the case trying to figure out what's going on. So we learn a little bit, about, as she's sort of interviewing and, talking to everybody, our sort of puzzle pieces are sort of filled in together about kind of where they came from and their history a little bit. And then of course what happened, who killed the manager. And it was just a ton of fun. I just flew through it. It kept me so engaged. I loved these characters. I didn't know, they were just, like I said, just so compelling. The story, though it sounds like kind of zany, it was very inventive. I really liked the character. Even the detective characters I really enjoyed. It takes place in Vegas. I mean, it's just really good. It's just a lot of fun. It's not super heavy or anything. If you want something kind of light, fun, like I said, a little zany, just because it's just the nature of what that is, I can't recommend this enough. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So I definitely recommend it. It's so good, you guys. So that was a hit. And I was very excited to have finally read that book. Today at work, I listened to a few things. First, I listened to the short story, The Playground by Ray Bradbury. Guys, this is an Audible original thing. So if you got Audible, listen to it. I don't know if you can read it somewhere else, like in print. I'm not really sure. When I looked it up, I think it was originally was printed in a magazine, back in the day. So I don't know if you can read it physically now. It probably is somewhere, but anyway. It's a short story, quite dark story, about, we've got this dude who's got this little kid, and he lives with his sister or whatever. I don't know where the mom is, but they're like, she's like, well, he's at that age now, so I'm just going to start taking him to the playground. But the playground is like not a playground. Like the kids, when you go in the playground is like uber violent. They come out like bloodied and gnashed and gnawed and bruised, and it's like this dude is having a hard time like dealing with this. He's like, what? Why are you doing this? Why do people send their children here? What is going on? What, and story spirals from there. It is a short story, so I won't say much more, but dude, quite dark, and it's really good. I really liked this story. Anyway, it was very good. Definitely, I think some weird vibes, some horror vibes, and it's really good. I really liked it a lot. That story was written in I wrote the year down. Was written in 1953. So yeah, very good. Okay, and then I listened to 2 of the stories that are from the House of Souls book by Arthur Machen. That is our group read for a week of weird this time, and yeah. So that book consists of 4 stories. I have already read The White People and Great God Pan, which are already in the collection as well. But I've not read the other 2. So I did listen to those on audio today. I found Hoopla has a collection. I'll show that here. The Great God Pan, I think, and Other Stories or something like that, which has all 4 of these stories in there plus more. So, but you can definitely listen to the 4 that are part of the House of Souls, like sort of original collection. I'm rambling, but anyway. So, okay. What was the year of these? I don't know. I don't remember to look up the year. But the ones I listened to were the Fragment of Life, excuse me, and then The Inmost Light. That's right. So Fragment of Life. Okay, I didn't know what this story was gonna be when it started, because it seemed like just been like following this dude and his wife in the most sort of like mundaneness of their like day in their life. So this guy's named Edward Darnell, and he lives with his wife Mary, and they're like doing okay. They just kind of like been married for like a year, and they're like really cute together. I don't know, they like really love each other, and I really like their relationship anyway. And they're sort of, he like works in the city. It's a place like in London, outside of London. I'm not sure, but anyway. So they're like well off enough to have like, they do have like a servant girl named Alice, but they're not like, they're not like rolling in the dough, but that's middle class, I'm guessing is right. But yeah, so like basically the story, how it opens up is he and his wife, they have this like extra sort of 10 pounds that they've saved and are wanting to kind of splurge on something, and so a lot of the story is them like thinking what to do. Should we like put our, we have like a sort of spare room in the house, maybe we should make it into, a nice actual room with like a bed and things like that. And then it's like, maybe we should buy a new range with it. I mean, there's just, like I said, it's literally this, I'm thinking what's to buy with this extra money. I don't know. I don't know. It's very strange. And then it just kind of gradually gets a little bit stranger and odder and weirder as it goes. At one point Darnell is telling, or he's called Darnell in the book, but that's their last name anyway. He tells Mary about this walk that he took, this little walking tour, and how he ended up in he found this like strange road, and where this road took him. And then Mary is telling him a story about her uncle and what's going on with that situation. There's like a weird aunt in the story. I'm telling you, it just kind of slightly goes off the rails, like little by little. and there's this like sort of really odd, strange imagery of like strange places and creatures and people and like voices, and I don't know. I just I don't know what is going on really in this story. I just know something changes, and I don't know. I don't want to say spoilery, but if this thing I'm thinking that happens to Darnell happens and he's literally just living a different life, I don't know. But the strangeness is something that just really, it just is like this for a lot of the book. And then it's just like, whoa, weird. Yeah, I don't know. It was very interesting, I will say. Did I get everything? I don't know. You know what I mean? Okay, The Inmost Light was pretty good too. This follows a couple of characters here. But our main character really is this guy named Dyson who, I don't know, through meeting this dude named Charlie. I wrote that character's name. I took little notes when I was like meeting this guy named Charlie, and he's talking about this little sort of town. I don't know, neighborhood really, because they're in London as well, and where it's just kind of a weird kind of little town of its own. And then there's this story about this doctor that moved into the town with his wife, and then like his wife wasn't seen for a long time, and then she turns up dead. But the husband wasn't, proven guilty or anything. It was natural causes because of what was autopsy revealed. But really, we found out what happens, and it gets very strange and very weird. So that one was really good. I really enjoyed that one. It had some gothic sort of horror tinge weirdness to that one. So I think what's interesting when you go back and read these early, sort of weird fiction, the roots really of weird fiction is how, it definitely does get very weird. And I really like going back to sort of the history of it all and reading these older authors. I think it's very valuable. I think if you're at all interested in sort of, the history of weird fiction and where it all came from, and which really leads to kind of horror and, weird fiction of today and stuff like that. So, yeah, if you're reading along with us with these old stories, I hope you're enjoying it. My kid's getting off the bus. I'll be right back. Okay. The child is settled. I don't think I had anything else really to say, but I read 2 stories in this now, the Profane Alters weird Sword and Sorcery short story anthology. So I'm digging into one of those now, and I gotta, choose a new book to read. I'm thinking this one because it's short, and I think it looks weird and tentacly. I think it's slightly kind of a coming of age kind of story too. So I think I'm gonna do this one. Yeah. All right. Hey, it's Thursday. Just got home from work. I'm about to crack open one of these bad boys. Try this Dr. Pepper Blackberry. It's really good. Anyway, I'm gonna really start reading the story out of this thing. Wait for my kiddo to get home from school, then we'll gotta head to a speech therapy appointment, and then so it's just like our typical Thursday. So I'll check in later. SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants.
Ignorant am I doing out here? We're trying to hurt each other. Whoa! You got a sea spider on your head. It's not a sea spider, you dope. It's my hair.
I love this episode. It's Friday morning. I have to make my coffee. I have to get up really early, but so I definitely need coffee in the mornings, but I'm so glad it's Friday. It's been like one of those weeks here in the United States of America. It's been one of those weeks, so I'm just glad it's Friday. And then tonight, my husband and I are actually going out. Can you believe it? Yes. We bought us tickets to, there's this Hans Zimmer thing going around where the symphonies are playing his movie music. We're really excited, so I think that'll be fun. Well, it's something different for us to do, but I think it'll be exciting. So my mom's gonna come over and watch my kiddo for us while we go out. Just the 2 of us, which we don't get to do very often, so it'll be nice. All right. I didn't read anything last night because, other than my little short story, but because it was weird movie night. I'm a patron of Andrew over at Came From the Page, and every Thursday night he does a watch party for us on his Patreon for weird movies. And last night we watched a Gamera movie. Gamera, I forget the name of it now. If I remember, I'll put it here. He was fighting an alien in this one. I love Gamera movies because I've seen a few. They're just kind of fun, yeah. All right, coffee time. Hello, hello. Another sort of handheld update to wrap out Week of Weird reading vlog, because I finished reading for the Week of Weird. Today's Sunday, the 14th of September, so, you know, Week of Weird ended yesterday, so I'm trying to know. But anyway, so I haven't updated, I think, since Friday. So I think I mentioned my husband and I went to go see The World of Hans Zimmer, this sort of touring, you know, show that's going around where there's this nice sort of orchestra and singers and things. I'm sorry, my son is in the background. You hear his humming. This is my life. And they do a bunch of Hans Zimmer's movie scores, right? Yeah. It was excellent, you guys. First of all, excellent. The tour is pretty much just kind of starting. I think we were like the 5th stop. So if movie scores are something that you enjoy, and they're coming like near you, I highly recommend going and checking it out. Honestly, it was fabulous. It was really, really great. Songs, everything from like Driving Miss Daisy, they started out with, to his, you know, some music from like The Rock, freaking Batman, Wonder Woman, freaking Superman, like The Gladiator. That whole sort of montage was excellent. The Lion King, flipping Pirates of the Caribbean, what else? Sherlock Holmes, and then like some of my faves, which were Interstellar and Inception, the two Christopher Nolan, you know, pictures that he worked on. Anyway, oh my god, fantastic. And the musicians were fantastic. There's the orchestra there from the Ukraine. There was a chorus from Nairobi, the Nairobi chorus, and then sort of feature, you know, musicians, like a violinist, I think from Turkey, I think she was, a cellist from France, this wonderful guy who played all sort of like flutes and, you know, that kind of instruments. I forget where he's from, but he was awesome. The guitarist from like Spain, a couple of American folks, like a drummer. No, the drummer I think was British. The pianist was, I think, from America. Anyway, just, I mean, a global production. And then the maestro, I forget his name too, but anyway, Dunkley, Matt Dunkley, I think was his name. Anyway, it was fantastic, and the stage was beautifully set up. And then they have this sort of screen on the back that sort of gives you visuals while the music is playing, and then sometimes like intersperses sort of scenes from the movie or stills, or Pearl Harbor. We did Pearl Harbor too. I'm trying to think of everything, but anyway, it was excellent. And then they would cut to some clips of Hans on the screen, you know, sort of some pre-recorded things of him talking about, you know, the music and stuff. It's excellent. I just would really recommend going. It was really good. It was really fantastic. And my husband and I, we had a great time, and I'm really glad that we bought those tickets. Anyway, just plug in that because it was great. Let's see. So we did that Friday night, and that was a lot of fun. So I didn't really actually read too much else on Friday, but on Saturday came around, and honestly just kind of bummed around a little bit. We did go to the Walmart for a little bit. My son had to fix his glasses that he broke. And then we perused the Halloween section. I did get a new outdoor decoration. We try to add something new every year to our outside. And then the rest, Saturday, I finished the Profane Alters collection, the anthology collection I've been reading, the weird Sword and Sorcery collection. Overall, I really enjoyed these stories. It's not very long. I think it's maybe like 7 or 8 stories in here. Yeah, very good, like sort of mix of Sword and Sorcery type stories with some darkness and horror bits and things like that. Yeah, it was definitely, I think, an interesting theme, and yeah, I overall really enjoyed the collection. So Weird Punt books, yeah, I like that. I'm actually got my Weird Punt books shirt on today. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's kind of how I ended up wrapped up Week of Weird, right? Because I talked about everything I said. So I read You Weren't Meant to Be Human for a prompt to read from a trans author. Loved it, 5 stars, fantastic. I read Album of Dr. Moreau by Daryl Gregory. Loved it. 5 stars, fantastic. I read Wild Spaces by S.L. Coney. 4 stars, pretty daggone good, I will say. Yeah. I read this. I listened to the short story The Playground by Ray Bradbury on audio. And then I read 2 of the stories from our group read, House of Souls by Arthur Machen. Reading The Inmost Light and what was the other one? The Fragment of Life. Because I had read previously, I'd already read Great God Pan and The White People. So I want to thank everyone. I think that's it. Let me make sure. Yes. Actually, I did read Dandadan. Was that part of Week of Weird? Dandadan, the manga. I think I must have taken that upstairs. I read that as well. And that was a lot of fun. So I used that for the translated reader work by translated author prompt. And yeah, that's it. So any of these other ones could also work for our other prompts, just to read a short book, just to read a short weird book. Yeah. Which of course all these work for Shorty September as well. Anyway, so I had a really great week of weird. Actually, I had quite a lot of reading done, which is good since my August was a bit slow reading, but it's fine. So I want to thank everyone for joining us again for another week of weird. I really hope that you had a good time reading. If you joined us in the group read and enjoyed any of those stories, yeah, I'm glad. I hope you know, if you joined us, I'm glad you did. Oh my God, words. That's really about it. Yeah, I don't know, I just really have fun hosting this just kind of chill kind of event, and I'm thankful for everyone that joins us, and I hope it was kind of a welcome distraction for this week. It was a bit of a rough week, I think. Yeah, so I hope it was enjoyable for you. And reminder, I mean, we are hosting Weeks of Weirds the first full week of March and September, so we're gonna keep going as long as we feel like keep going. So hope you'll join us in March 2026. That seems wild to say, but whatever that first full week of March is, that's when we'll be back for getting weird again. So I hope you join us again. So thanks for watching if you're watching, if you watched this far. And I hope you're doing well, enjoying your weird reads. And I'll catch you in the next one, alright guys? Thanks.